The law of the Lord is perfect, converting the soul. Welcome back to the Berean Pursuit. This is week 48, day 2. Today we're reading from Zechariah chapters 12 through 14, Psalm 94, and 2nd John. Last time in Zechariah, we were looking at some prophecies against various nations around Israel, the judgment God was going to bring on them, and he was going to bring Israel back. And we also saw in all of this some prophecies about Jesus. There was the prophecy of him coming as the king on a donkey, which he fulfilled when he entered into Jerusalem riding on the donkey before his crucifixion. And we saw the prophecy about Zechariah being a shepherd, pointing towards Jesus, who is the good shepherd, and the price at which he was valued, 30 pieces of silver, which he was to throw into the house of the Lord to the potter, which we know is talking about the betrayal money that Judas received that he threw into the temple, and then they used it to buy the potter's field. And we saw that there would be a shepherd who would come after this that would not care about the sheep, and God was going to curse that shepherd. After the crucifixion of Jesus, those that were leading the nation and leading them until the Romans came and destroyed them. Let's go ahead and get into our reading today and finish the book of Zechariah with Zechariah chapters 12 through 14. This is the burden of the word of the Lord concerning Israel. Thus declares the Lord, who stretches out the heavens and lays the foundation of the earth, who forms the spirit of man within him. Behold, I will make Jerusalem a cup of drunkenness to all the surrounding peoples. Judah will be besieged as well as Jerusalem. On that day, when all the nations of the earth gather against her, I will make Jerusalem a heavy stone for all the peoples. All who would heave it away will be severely injured. On that day, declares the Lord, I will strike every horse with panic and every rider with madness. I will keep a watchful eye on the house of Judah, but I will strike with blindness all the horses of the nations. Then the leaders of Judah will say in their hearts, the people of Jerusalem are my strength, for the Lord of hosts is their God. On that day I will make the clans of Judah like a fire pot in a woodpile, like a flaming torch among the sheaves. They will consume all the peoples around them, on the right and on the left, while the people of Jerusalem remain secure there. The Lord will save the tents of Judah first, so that the glory of the house of David and of the people of Jerusalem may not be greater than that of Judah. On that day the Lord will defend the people of Jerusalem, so that the weakest among them will be like David, and the house of David will be like God, like the angel of the Lord going before them. So on that day I will set out to destroy all the nations that come against Jerusalem. Then I will pour out on the house of David and on the people of Jerusalem a spirit of grace and prayer, and they will look on me, the one they have pierced. They will mourn for him as one mourns for an only child, and grieve bitterly for him as one grieves for a firstborn son. On that day the wailing in Jerusalem will be as great as the wailing of Hadad-Rimmon and the plain of Megiddo. The land will mourn, each clan on its own, the clan of the house of David and their wives, the clan of the house of Nathan and their wives, the clan of the house of Levi and their wives, the clan of Shammai and their wives, and all the remaining clans and their wives. On that day a fountain will be opened to the house of David and the people of Jerusalem to cleanse them from sin and impurity. And on that day, declares the Lord of hosts, I will erase the names of the idols from the land, and they will no longer be remembered. I will also remove the prophets and the spirit of impurity from the land. And if anyone still prophesies, his father and mother who bore him will say to him, You shall not remain alive, because you have spoken falsely in the name of the Lord. When he prophesies, his father and mother who bore him will pierce him through. And on that day every prophet who prophesies will be ashamed of his vision, and he will not put on a hairy cloak in order to deceive. He will say, I am not a prophet, I work the land, for I was purchased as a servant in my youth. If someone asks him, What are these wounds on your chest? He will answer, These are the wounds I received in the house of my friends. Awake, O sword, against my shepherd, against the man who is my companion, declares the Lord of hosts. Strike the shepherd, and the sheep will be scattered, and I will turn my hand against the little ones. And in all the land, declares the Lord, 2/3 will be cut off and perish, but 1/3 will be left in it. This third I will bring through the fire. I will refine them like silver and test them like gold. They will call on my name, and I will answer them. I will say, They are my people, and they will say, The Lord is our God. Behold, a day of the Lord is coming, when your plunder will be divided in your presence. For I will gather all the nations for battle against Jerusalem, and the city will be captured, the houses looted, and the women ravished. Half of the city will go into exile, but the rest of the people will not be removed from the city. Then the Lord will go out to fight against those nations as he fights in the day of battle. On that day his feet will stand on the Mount of Olives east of Jerusalem, and the Mount of Olives will be split in two from east to west, forming a great valley, with half the mountain moving to the north and half to the south. You will flee by my mountain valley, for it will extend to Ezal. You will flee as you fled from the earthquake in the days of Uzziah king of Judah. Then the Lord my God will come, and all the holy ones with him. On that day there will be no light, no cold or frost. It will be a day known only to the Lord, without day or night, but when evening comes there will be light. And on that day living water will flow out from Jerusalem, half of it toward the eastern sea, and the other half toward the western sea, in summer and winter alike. On that day the Lord will become king over all the earth, the Lord alone, and his name alone. All the land from Geba to Rimmon, south of Jerusalem, will be turned into a plain, but Jerusalem will be raised up and will remain in her place, from the Benjamin gate to the site of the first gate to the corner gate, and from the tower of Hananel to the royal wine presses. People will live there, and never again will there be an utter destruction. So Jerusalem will dwell securely. And this will be the plague with which the Lord strikes all the peoples who have warred against Jerusalem. Their flesh will rot while they stand on their feet. Their eyes will rot in their sockets, and their tongues will rot in their mouths. On that day a great panic from the Lord will come upon them, so that each will seize the hand of another, and the hand of one will rise against the other. Judah will also fight at Jerusalem, and the wealth of all the surrounding nations will be collected. Gold, silver, and apparel in great abundance, and a similar plague will strike the horses and mules, camels and donkeys, and all the animals in those camps. Then all the survivors from the nations that came against Jerusalem will go up year after year to worship the King, the Lord of hosts, and to celebrate the Feast of Tabernacles. And should any of the families of the earth not go up to Jerusalem to worship the King, the Lord of hosts, then the rain will not fall on them. And if the people of Egypt will not go up and enter in, then the rain will not fall on them. This will be the plague with which the Lord strikes the nations who do not go up to celebrate the Feast of Tabernacles. This will be the punishment of Egypt and of all the nations that do not go up to celebrate the Feast of Tabernacles. On that day, holy to the Lord will be inscribed on the bells of the horses, and the cooking pots in the house of the Lord will be like the sprinkling bowls before the altar. Indeed, every pot in Jerusalem and Judah will be holy to the Lord of hosts, and all who sacrifice will come and take some pots and cook in them. And on that day there will no longer be a Canaanite in the house of the Lord of hosts. Now let's read Psalm 94. O Lord God of vengeance, O God of vengeance, shine forth. Rise up, O Judge of the earth, render a reward to the proud. How long will the wicked, O Lord, how long will the wicked exult? They pour out arrogant words. All workers of iniquity boast. They crush your people, O Lord. They oppress your heritage. They kill the widow and the foreigner. They murder the fatherless. They say the Lord does not see. The God of Jacob pays no heed. Take notice, O senseless among the people. O fools, when will you be wise? He who affixed the ear, can he not hear? He who formed the eye, can he not see? He who admonishes the nations, does he not discipline? He who teaches man, does he lack knowledge? The Lord knows the thoughts of man, that they are futile. Blessed is the man you discipline, O Lord, and teach from your law, to grant him relief from days of trouble, until a pit is dug for the wicked. For the Lord will not forsake his people. He will never abandon his heritage. Surely judgment will again be righteous, and all the upright in heart will follow it. Who will rise up for me against the wicked? Who will stand for me against the workers of iniquity? Unless the Lord had been my helper, I would soon have dwelt in the abode of silence. If I say, my foot is slipping, your loving devotion, O Lord, supports me. When anxiety overwhelms me, your consolation delights my soul. Can a corrupt throne be your ally, one devising mischief by decree? They band together against the righteous and condemn the innocent to death. But the Lord has been my stronghold, and my God is my rock of refuge. He will bring upon them their own iniquity and destroy them for their wickedness. The Lord our God will destroy them. And now to the New Testament in 2 John chapter 1. All right, last time we finished 1 John, and today we're going to begin 2 John, but not only begin it, we're going to finish it. It's only one chapter long. It's quite short, but the theme in this book, as you'll notice, is obedience, the idea of being faithful in our walk with God, which was a very common theme in 1 John as well. This obedience to Christ that is demanded, the love of God, and if you love him, you'll keep his commandments. All of that is in 2 John as well, even though it's very short. So let's go ahead and read this letter of 2 John. The elder, to the chosen lady and her children, whom I love in the truth, and not I alone, but also all who know the truth, because of the truth that abides in us and will be with us forever. Grace, mercy, and peace from God the Father and from Jesus Christ, the Son of the Father, will be with us in truth and love. I was overjoyed to find some of your children walking in the truth, just as the Father has commanded us. And now I urge you, dear lady, not as a new commandment to you, but one we have had from the beginning, that we love one another. And this is love, that we walk according to his commandments. This is the very commandment you have heard from the beginning, that you must walk in love. For many deceivers have gone out into the world, refusing to confess the coming of Jesus Christ in the flesh. Any such person is the deceiver and the Antichrist. Watch yourselves so that you do not lose what we have worked for, but that you may be fully rewarded. Anyone who runs ahead without remaining in the teaching of Christ does not have God. Whoever remains in his teaching has both the Father and the Son. If anyone comes to you but does not bring this teaching, do not receive him into your home or even greet him. Whoever greets such a person shares in his evil deeds. I have many things to write to you, but I would prefer not to do so with paper and ink. Instead, I hope to come and speak with you face to face, so that our joy may be complete. The children of your elect sister send you greetings. All right, in our reading today in Zechariah, we saw more prophecies about Jesus. He talked about how he would protect Jerusalem, but he also talked about the one that they would pierce, the prophecy of the crucifixion of Jesus. And then he said that in that day and at that time, he would open up a fountain for cleansing sin and impurity. And that is clearly talking about what Christ was accomplishing through his sacrifice. He also says, strike the shepherd and the sheep will be scattered, which Jesus refers to when he's in the garden and he's being taken away and his disciples scatter. But we see that at this time, he's going to bring an end to idolatry, to false prophets. And I don't understand everything that's in these prophecies, but it seems to be referring to the establishment of the church and the holiness of God's people. There would no longer be a Canaanite in the house of the Lord. In other words, in this new kingdom, it is not going to be a physical kingdom, so only those that are holy will be part of this. Psalm 94 is a psalm about God being the God of vengeance, and he talks about how he will destroy the wicked. The wicked don't seem to think that God even knows what's going on, and so he says that's foolishness. The God who made the ear can hear, the God who made the eye can see, and the God who teaches has knowledge. You can't say that God does not know what's going on. And so he will bring justice, even to corrupt governments. He is going to bring justice. And so God will destroy them. Then in 2 John, we have this fairly short letter that John writes to the chosen lady and her children. So we see in this letter a focus on truth and love, obedience, walking in truth, what God has commanded. And then he talks about these false teachers that will not confess that Jesus came in the flesh. And so that's a problem. And he says, you've got to watch out for these people. And he says, if anyone does not remain in the teaching of Christ, he does not have God. And there's debate over what the teaching of Christ is. Is that the teaching that Christ has given, or is that the teaching about Christ, that he has come in the flesh? Well, it could be both, because in the context of this letter, both things are talked about. The obedience to the truth and the commandments of God, and this teaching about Christ. We have to remain in all of it if we want to remain with God. It's not about if you understand everything perfectly, but the idea is if you reject anything that God has said, then you are rejecting God. You're not with him. You're exalting yourself and your thoughts over God and his thoughts. And you cannot remain in God that way. And so we must not accept such people. If there's somebody who is mistaken, we can correct them. But if there is a false teacher, someone who just persists in going into these things and will not admit to the things that God has clearly revealed, we do not greet him or have him into our home. We do not welcome him as a brother in Christ. We don't treat him that way, because if we greet him, treating him as a brother, then we share in his evil deeds. So this is a painful thing, especially when these were friends of ours or family of ours that become this way, but it's necessary, whoever it is. We must follow the commands of God because we love God and because we love our brothers. And this is love as well. When we do not greet this person, it's out of love. It's not out of hatred. It's not out of spite or something like that. It is out of love because they are not in Christ, and treating them like they are is not going to help them at all. All right, well, that is the reading for today. Join me again tomorrow as, Lord willing, we'll continue with the Berean pursuit.